Hey there, it's Coach Curl here, and welcome to Monday Mentoring. Now, episode 233 of the Today's Leader podcast, we featured Dirk van Reenen. Now, Dirk's from Houston in Texas, and he gave us, once again, just so many highlights and insights into leadership and team building. One of the key things he spoke about was the concept of the human system. Yes, you heard that right, the human system. And to quote Dirk said, when humans come together, they form a system. So when humans come together, they form a system. And in all honesty, I love that. I love that analogy. When humans come together, they form a system. And we see this right throughout all aspects of what we do, what our lives are part of. So I want to walk you through some of the various systems that you may have and to start the process for you to think about whether that system is actually helping you or hurting you. Okay, so I'm going to walk through some of those various different types of systems that you have. So when I think about my work and when I think about when I worked in the corporate world, I think about all those teams that I used to be part of. And maybe you're part of a team at work. Maybe it's a customer service team, but you may also be part of a bigger team, an overall business team. Now, bear in mind, when humans come together, they form a human system, but they're also part of a team. So I want you to think about this a little bit differently. So when I think back on, say, my Bunnings career, I was part of a few teams. I had my store team, of course. I had my regional team, I had the state team, and then overall I had the national team, all of which I was a part of. I was part of that system. And on top of that, I also had a special projects team. So we were often given special projects outside of the jobs that we had. So we were part of a special projects team. So each and every one of those is a system. And they all had, in reflection and hindsight especially, and potentially at the time, they all had varying degrees of effectiveness. Now, of course, my biggest priority was always on my store team. So that's where my focus was. And sometimes we hit the mark and sometimes we missed the mark. But one of the key things that I'm learning is that, reflection and hindsight's a wonderful thing, but you don't know what you don't know. And I believe firmly that if I had embraced this concept of human system, if I'd known about the concept of a human system, I may have handled some things a little bit differently within my corporate career. So think about your human systems at work. Where should your priority be, for example, and what can you do to support and build that system? What can you do to support and build that human system? And as I said, it really does bring a new way of thinking around that concept of teamwork. Too often people don't necessarily understand the concept of teamwork. And I think if we can embrace this feeling of a system, it's absolutely true. So then think about your friends. So remember what Dirk said, when humans get together, they form a system. So when you get together with your friends, you form a system. Now, this could be a tricky one. It could be a tricky one. Does that system help you or harm you? What about your family system? What about your extended family system? Just reflect. Don't jump at me. Just reflect. Sometimes those closest to us aren't the best for us. We know that. Sometimes they can be hurtful, harmful, or that we are different around them. So does that human system help you or does that human system harm you? Often they're great, but often they aren't. So how does that friend/family system work for you? Now, if you're in business, of course, you are going to have a number of different systems. You're going to have your team, you're going to have your clients, and you're going to have your broader network as your system. So once again, a really great opportunity to think back on those human systems and what do you need to do to invest in that system? And I'll tell you why. Because every time humans get together, a system is formed. So what do you do with this? So as a business leadership coach, I'll often talk to business leaders. Actually, probably more times than not, I'll talk to business leaders about systemizing processes and procedures to try and make their systems more streamlined and effective, to look at their systems, to analyze their systems and make them effective and efficient, and that they make sense. Often I'll also talk to them about automating wherever possible. Now, you cannot automate a human system. I will be quite upfront with that. You need to actually be very intentional and invest your time and your efforts into making the best system that you can. So, because often our human system is far from efficient, it's far from effective. Often it's disjointed, maybe even infiltrated with like this sense of underlying unease. Have you been in a human system where there's eggshells that you've got to walk on? That would indicate that that system is not as good as what it can be. So what as a leader can you do? So this is the mentoring moment for today. What as a leader can you do to turn that system around, to build the best human system that you can? And just to be clear, just to be very, very clear, in business, the best team will win. So I want you to think about that. When humans get together, they form a system. How is your system? How is your human system working? Is it helping you? Is it harming you? Because in business, the best team will win. Thanks for tuning in. It's Coach Curl here, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.